5, 4, 3.
You didn't say 2 or 1.
Oh, you don't say 2 or 1.
Why not?
You just don't. Okay? Now, it goes 5, 4, 3.
Wax.
This World is brought to you by Noah's Arcade. Party on.
Whack. Wax. Wax.
Party time! Excellent! It's Friday. It's 11:30. It's time to party with your excellent host,
Bushwhack.
And with him, as always, is
Chuck.
Party on.
Whack.
And party on.
Chuck. Wax.
Okay, welcome to
Wax.
World. Party on.
Chuck.
I guess.
Welcome back, guys.
Hey, hello.
How's it going?
Amazing.
Yeah? How'd you guys do last week? You win the big one?
You win some, you lose some.
Did you beat Knucklehead or whatever it is?
I was doing very well. I didn't tell you this. I was in 2 multipliers. It's like a $50 buy-in, and top 20 get $1,000. I think it was something like that. It was a 3-entry max. 2 of mine had $1,000. I mean, I was killing it, and I had very good players left. And Taysom Hill was one of them. Yeah. Taysom Hill screwed me, dude. He was doing so well. Yeah. Oh, he was doing so good.
He did me too. I had in one lineup.
You had Taysom in the same lineup?
I had Taysom in a lineup where, a lot of those dart throws hit, but the quarterback didn't.
Yeah. And you played Amendola. That was a good one.
Amendola.
I wasn't on him.
Yeah. Mills. Lockett.
Yeah, I was on Mills and Lockett.
Yeah.
Lockett had the better matchup.
Right.
So we were close yet again.
Close yet again. I think at one point in my highest, and you hate to look at it through the day because you don't want to see you know how much you could be winning. But at one point I was like in 200th place and like the millionaire, but finished like 8,000.
the least amount of money. Okay, from the Saturday slate all the way to Monday, the least amount of money I was winning from the kickoff on Saturday was when it all ended on Monday. when I first started on Saturday, I was winning $500. I was in the first place in this one contest. And it was all the way up to like $3,500 at one point. 34, 30, I think it was like $3,400 and something dollars at one point. And then Taysom Hill got hurt, and then it just all started going downhill. And I spent $360, and I won back like $194, I think it was.
Yeah.
So I've definitely been guilty of that. Where I've even I did the Leon Lett, started dancing before I got to the end zone, and especially depending on what kind of sport you're playing and what game you're playing, but you can think that you're up and you got I know one, NASCAR. NASCAR can change in a second, right? Because you're up, and then the big crash happens at Talladega or Daytona. And it's over. You went from first to last.
Oh, and then somebody could get in first and just stay there for 20 laps, and you're just screwed. Yeah.
Seen that happen. 1 week late last year, and this is why I don't look at it anymore throughout the day. I looked at it, and it says I was winning $125,000.
Holy cow!
Right, and then but by the end of that contest, it was like hardly anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could definitely see how that would get a fella.
Oh, okay. So here's the bad thing. I just remembered I did this. So I'm watching Red Zone, and so it's game to game to game to game to game, and I'm seeing my player score. Boom, he's scoring. I had him. Boom, Lockett scored. Boom, I got him. I got all these players. Got him. And Hill got hurt, and I remembered he got hurt, but I kind of forgot about it. And there was just another white quarterback in there. It was Simeon, and I wasn't even paying attention. And Simeon throws 3 touchdowns. I'm like, dude, I think I texted you. I go, dude, I was for real, and I'm thinking, how am I going to tell the wife that I had the million, or am I just going to tell her that I only won 100,000, or am I going to tell her 10,000? Like, am I going to tell her the whole thing? Like, I'm sitting there, I'm counting this money, and I look, and it's $94.
Yeah, I think you tell her you won the 10,000, and then you tell your buddies the real deal.
Oh, if I won $1 million, nobody but you guys will know. Nobody
on Wall Street Bets when they talk about stonks. They talk about lost porn. They'll post
I love it.
Their screenshots, and it's lost so much.
I love it.
A lot of how about those Colts?
Dude, me and Wack went to Vegas last April. We put futures bets on a lot of stuff. First of all, I put a future bet. Now this was early April before baseball season started, and I put a future bet on Shohei Ohtani to win the MVP, and he won.
How much do you win on that?
$250. I can you believe that? I thought it would be more than that, but yeah, it's only $10 bet, I think. Right. So yeah,
that's still a good return on your money.
Yeah, and I bet on the Colts to be in the Super Bowl to win the AFC Championship. The only of all the future bets I have, the only one I have is Buffalo Bills for the championships left. Everything else is gone.
I have Buffalo, but I went instead of the Colts, I went for Cleveland and Miami. We're both out.
I bet Cleveland to get to the championship, to AFC Championship game. I love the way those teams are built. Right. When you build a team from the inside out, they can be a winner.
Yeah, you notice like the teams that win it lately, even though it's a passing league, are those teams that run.
Yeah,
that
you have to.
The Patriots are always in there. It's Baltimore. It's Pittsburgh's always good. It's the teams that run the ball.
I don't care what rules you change in football and to make it easier on the offense, to make them score, whatever. At the end of the day, in the Super Bowl, at the end of the day, the best team in the league is going to have to play defense, going to have to run, they're going to have an offensive line. It's just the way it is.
Yep.
That's the way the Patriots have been built from the inside out forever. And that's why they win. That's why they had the dynasty, man. Everybody else is going for the flex, man. I mean, look at me, down the field. That's not going to win at the end of the day, man.
I think I heard, is this true? Maybe has a rookie quarterback ever won the Super Bowl?
No, I think Roethlisberger did the best.
Second year, maybe
he did. Yeah, second year he did the best. He went on a 15-1 run or something like that through the playoff, and he only lost in the championship game.
So I
think that's the best though.
One of my other bets in Vegas, and it just seems like something he would do, is Belichick now has a rookie quarterback in the playoffs.
You bet the Patriots to win the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Oh wow!
Yeah. And I got a bet on Buffalo, and I got a bet on Tampa Bay.
Oh.
But yeah, I can see that being him saying this is something that's never happened, and I'm going to make it happen.
Yeah. I say it wouldn't be on his back, but he's a game manager right now.
But I think the toughest match is going to be this week against Buffalo.
Then they play Kansas. No, then they would go to Tennessee. Yeah, then they go to Tennessee. They can beat Tennessee.
Yeah, but Tennessee plays them tough.
Tennessee, it wouldn't surprise me if Tennessee went to the Super Bowl.
Yep, they beat every good team this year.
They're built from the inside out. They've
and
great coach.
Henry's coming back.
They're gonna be tough to beat. They've already beat everybody. They've had a tough schedule. People don't realize how tough of a schedule they had, and they come out of it.
We even talked about that a little bit last week when we were talking about Cleveland. Cleveland is a team like that.
Yes,
and it feels like that's the formula.
It is
defense. Offensive line, you have to have a running game.
At the end of the day, and you can do it all through the season. You can win like the Chiefs, whatever. You can win, and at the end of the day, in the Super Bowl, you're going to have a defense. You're going to have an offensive line. You have to have a defensive line. Got to. You can't win without it.
So my outstanding bets, we talked about it last week, but that Cleveland one, put Cleveland down to win it. That's done. I still have a little bit of money on the Packers, which you got to feel good about that.
Oh, yeah.
Point, right? You talked me into Najee Harris as MVP, or not MVP, Rookie of the Year, and we made these, how many months ago? Several months ago.
Yeah, a while back.
So that's not going to plan out.
It's close though. He got a lot more all-purpose yards than you think, man.
Yeah, he might have led the running backs in targets this year.
Yeah,
and at the time I liked it. I could see why you talked me into it. I don't know if that's
If it wasn't for Jamar Chase going out of his mind, I think he's going to win. He's going to get over Mac. I think.
I would think he would get over Mac. I think he got the record, I think so.
Yeah.
Where's Parsons fall on that?
Parsons, that's not even close. He's going to win the Defensive Rookie of the Year by far.
Yeah.
He's he's the best defensive rookie I've ever seen in my life, other than Javon Curse. Remember the freak back in the day?
Yeah.
Dude, Micah Parsons is the best rookie defense player I've ever seen.
I love watching him play.
Oh.
Like I mentioned last week, I'm a defensive-minded dude. When I watch football, I watch the defense. It's just something that happens organically. It's not something that I even notice at times, that I'm always watching the defense. Something will happen. I literally won't know what's happening because I'm watching the defense.
He already plays like Bobby Wagner in his prime. That Seattle linebacker. He was everywhere. Bobby Wagner used to be everywhere.
He's still
breaking up passes.
Yeah, he is. He's still great.
Quarterback. He's running back on the sideline.
Mm-hmm. Parsons is that already somehow. It's crazy.
With the playoffs, before you hit the playoffs, you get what do they call it, Black Monday?
Oh,
is that what they call it?
Yes.
We had some coaches leaving their office for the final time.
Yeah, and thank God. I'll tell you what, Dolphins, thank you for firing him because you don't deserve him. Okay, he's been there 3 years. The first year, they intentionally tried to tank. They traded away every asset that they had. They their amazing weed smoking lineman, the dude with the gas mask,
Ricky Williams.
No, well, him too.
Richie
Tunsil, the dude that fell on draft day because they released a video of him.
Oh, wasn't it like the day before?
The day, dude. It was like noon of that day. He didn't even know it when the draft started. He didn't even know why he was dropping. And then somebody called him on his agent or something called him, and he's like, "Dude, you know what's going on about you?" Turned out it was like his an agent that he didn't pay or something like that. Or that he left early. He left one agent to go to another one. It was that old agent that did it to him.
Yeah, it had to come out at that specific time for a reason. I mean, they knew what they were doing.
They knew exactly what they were doing.
Or somebody wanting him to drop.
It cost him. They said it cost him $7 million because he was supposed to go like number 2. He wound up going 10 or something, 9 or 10.
That hurts a little bit.
Yeah.
Who was the infamous Super Bowl guy with the hooker?
Oh God, Darren Sharper.
Yeah.
And then the Raiders dude. Before they played John Gruden, when John Gruden left the Raiders and he went to Bucs, what was his name? He went nuts. The center. They found him the next day, and he's like, dude, won the Super Bowl, and they're like, no, bud, you haven't played in the Super Bowl yet. If I remembered his name, you would know who I'm talking about.
There's a couple of those where, like, on the day of the Super Bowl, something just crazy. You see it on TMZ or something.
That Darren Sharper one was hilarious. That year that he got the hookers, he was like man of the year that year. Oh, he just won it like 2 weeks before that. He's like
Walter
NFL
Payton
man of the year.
Award?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
He got caught with
He's
hookers.
like, I've been good for a year straight. So.
Yeah. Whoops. So the Dolphins don't deserve Brian Flores.
So you're saying he's a good coach and he should go.
So they tried to tank. They traded Mika Fitzpatrick. Their top 10 that they drafted in. Top 10 lineman Tunsil, who's still good. They traded him away. They were doing their best to tank. They wanted to tank.
They wanted the first. They wanted Tua.
They wanted the first. Yeah. Well, it would have ended up being Burrow, which that'd have been a good time to tank. But so they tried to tank. And this dude was such a badass. I think they were 7-9 somehow. They were, dude. Remember? Okay, the first couple of games, they got people like 50-7 and like
right.
50-7.
They were like considered the worst team, like on paper. Right?
Yeah, unreal.
And then they won like 5 games like in a row. Or
they knocked the Patriots out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Remember that final game?
Yes.
They knocked the Patriots out of the playoffs. And so the next year they come back and they were bosses, dude. They were doing very well
with a lot of what seemed to be no names on defense.
Yeah, absolutely. And so they drafted Tua. And you could tell that the owner wanted him to play Tua because Fitzpatrick was playing fantastic.
There was no reason to bench him.
No reason. But you could tell that he had to be told to bench him.
After he was benched, he came in at least 2 more games
and won
and turned it around when Tua started off slow.
Yeah, it's like he was listening to the owner until it came nut cutting time. He's like, no, Tua, sit down. Fitzpatrick can win this real quick.
Right.
Yeah. So he did this, and then this year come out. And, they beat the Patriots first game of the year, and then shit fell apart for 7 games. And they got beat 7 in a row. They came back and won 7 in a row. They lost 7 in a row, won 7 in a row. That's insanity.
That is.
And then they finished the year 9-8 after being 1-7.
And a game off of the playoffs.
And they fired him. What? Good. That's how bad teams stay bad. You make decisions like that. That's
where should he go?
Well, they said because Houston, another bad team, trying to stay bad. But they fired that Culley dude. Okay, that Culley dude, I don't even know who he is. I didn't even know the coach. I still don't know where he came from. But he won 4 games for the Texans this year when their best player sitting And, they had the rookie Davis Mills, which I think Davis Mills is a lot better than people think. But he won 4 games with him. That's pretty damn good. And he gets fired 1 year. Come on. They got to stop with this coach shit. Like, Tom Landry was terrible his first 4 years coaching. Mm-hmm. That's the way it goes. Yep. And then they kept him, and he was amazing. One of the greatest ever. They got to stop with this coach shit, man. Just firing him.
I don't watch a lot of Miami football.
Right?
NFL.
Right.
Don't get all mad for the college.
Upset, but yeah.
So I don't watch a lot of Miami Dolphins.
Right.
So when I hear that Brian Flores is fired, I see the record. I see a lot of people upset about it. Mm-hmm. The general consensus is this guy shouldn't have been fired, and it was maybe even something the GM might have been fired, because I think Flores wanted to take Herbert in the draft, and they went with Tua instead, something like that.
Yeah.
So I don't watch a lot of Miami. When he gets fired, is the games that you watch and what you see of Miami, was their success, a lot of their success due to the coaching?
Yes, because their success was defense, and he had been the Patriots. He'd been a Patriots defensive coach for 8 years before he went there, and you could immediately tell that defense got better. It was unbelievable. There were like Wax said, there was no names. They traded away all their names.
So, yeah, overall, he overachieved. Or the team did, right?
Yes.
And, I mean, this year, maybe their aspirations were the playoffs and they didn't make it. But, I mean, they just got a rough start, and they really tried to come back, and they were a game away from it.
I see so many firings, and a lot of them, I mean, I totally agree with, right? Like the Nagy, I felt like Nagy should have been gone a long time ago. But I see so many of the firings, and I just wonder how many of those are fall guys. How many of those are somebody else doesn't want to get fired, or they're in the know a little bit more, or, instead of the GM going, right, this situation where a lot of people think is what should happen, let's fire the head coach. It's easier, right?
Yeah.
It's easier to do. It just feels like a lot of those guys are the fall guys. We also had Zimmer leave the Vikings. I've always liked the guy.
I have too.
And I'm a Packers fan, so I shouldn't.
But he's been there a long time. He should go somewhere else or something. He could find somewhere, I'm sure. But yeah, he's been there so long. But he has been close, man. He's been very close.
I feel like, and tell me what you guys think. I feel like sometimes coordinators get pushed into head coach, or they try to become head coaches when they're better coordinator. They probably should have just stayed the coordinator instead of the
Mike
head coach.
Martz is the best example of that. He is not a head coach, but man, that dude could run an offense.
Yep.
Holy cow.
Perfect example.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing, and maybe it's a money grab. Maybe they know that. Maybe they don't want to be the leader. But
maybe this is my one time. If somebody's offering it to me, I might as well take it, and I'm good to go the rest of my life. Whatever. Whatever happens, I'll be good.
And I think Mike Martz is the perfect example of that. And there are sometimes the coach is very involved in maybe even basically playing coordinator. But then there are what they call true head coaches, where they are just the overseers of everything. They are the final decision makers and just the overseers. There's coordinators, and then there's true head coaches. True head coach, you got to have a leader. You got to have somebody that has the vision that the guys want to win for. A guy that I really like is the Detroit Lions guy.
Yes, I do too.
I want to run through the wall for that guy.
Let me tell you something, man. People are overlooking this. They're not paying attention. Everybody, the whole year they're like, Detroit Lions worst team in the league. Detroit Lions worst team. Buddy, they lost so many close games. I mean, so they were what the Chargers did last year, and then they come this year and almost made the playoffs. They lost so many, and against good teams. They were playing a tough schedule. And then they were blown out by weird teams, but like so the Jaguars beat the Indianapolis Colts the other day to knock them out of the playoffs. Oh, it upsets me so much. But just a absolute dumpster fire shit organization, the Jacksonville Jaguars. I can't stand them. They had 3 wins this year against the Colts, the Dolphins, who were very good, and the Bills. That was their 3 wins. Every shit team they played, the Jets and the Texans, they got housed. They beat the Bills, the Dolphins, and the Colts. The only 3 wins. That's insanity.
You are right there. I like your feelings on the Colts. That run game, you have to play it. You have to load an extra man in the box, and that's going to leave you vulnerable for the long play. I think that's why you have to have a balanced offense. Because if you are just one-sided, well, that means the defense can be one-sided too. But if are a run threat, you have to find a way to make up for that other man, either through blitzes or stacking the box, and that leaves you vulnerable in other parts of the field. So I like the Colts as well, and their line. They have 2 Pro Bowlers, I think, on their line.
Oh yeah, I mean, good, like Hall of Fame type. Yeah.
So I like them. I just don't know how you get that damn close and you let the Jaguars beat you. I don't know how that happened.
I mean, and the Jaguars thumped their head too. It wasn't close. The Jaguars just beat them from start to finish. And I'll tell you this: the Colts would have. Let's see, they'd probably be going to their 3rd Super Bowl this year if they had made that line a year earlier, 2 years earlier. They'd have luck. One of the best quarterbacks I've ever seen.
We mentioned him last week too. That's heartbreaking to me.
It is, man.
Because I do feel like he was probably the closest thing that we'll see to Manning modern day.
Arch is coming, baby.
Who?
Arch Manning.
Oh yeah. You see the kind of ball he throws? It's beautiful.
Have you seen his Quinn Ewers, dude? He's a dude from Texas. South Lake. He played where Chase Daniel played. South Lake, I think.
Southland, yeah, South Lake.
So this dude, he does it like the Mahomes throws. We're not looking, chucking it 60 yards this way. Like he threw, I think it was 65 or 66 yards in a quarterback challenge type of deal in high school.
Just a freak.
Just a absolute freak. Oh, he's got this sweet mullet too.
That's always helpful.
Yeah, he's going to. He was committed to Texas, and then he decommitted, and he's going to Ohio State last I heard.
If you got a mullet, that'll give you at least an extra 10 yards on your ball.
Absolutely, right? Dude.
Automatically,
it's bright blonde mullet. Oh man, it's beautiful.
He pulls up in a Z28.
If he did,
cranking journey,
that'd be amazing. Yeah. 38 special.
All right, so let's go ahead and take a break, and then we'll come back. We'll talk DFS. We'll talk about what you guys are thinking as far as playoffs go, and some of the positions and players you like, and we'll be back right after this. Hi, this is Chad from the Wellness Investors. Please click the link below and join millions of customers on Robinhood when you sign up to start investing. By signing up for Robinhood through the link below, you will receive a complimentary free stock, and we will receive one as well. Every time you invite a friend to join, you and your friend will receive a free stock. Invite as many friends as you want and receive up to $500 in free stocks so you can start putting your money to work. Welcome back to whatever this is called, playoffs.
Yeah, baby.
Playoffs, right?
Yeah,
you
baby.
got to insert that. Playoffs.
Extra teams this year.
Yes.
Extra team.
I love that. The one bye, buddy, you want to be that first team. You want to kill to be that first team. I love it.
Because it comes perfectly. Some of these guys get that last week off, right? So they're maybe a little bit rested, but this guarantees you get a week off. Guarantees you an extra week to get healthy, extra 2 full weeks to get healthy. You get to see your opponent. They're not, you hope, as healthy or as rested for sure.
Yeah,
I think that's huge. You're fighting for it. I like it a lot.
That's why in the NCAA, everybody wants 8 teams and wants 16 teams for the playoffs. All that stuff. 6. Because if you put 16, then who gives a shit? If you'd be 1 or 16. So the first 16 spots in the top 25 don't matter. The first 8 spots don't matter. But if you put 6, you got 2 buys, and you want to be number 1 or number 2 when that season ends. That is a must. So you can have a bye and then play the 2 beat up teams.
I love the format, and I like the games this week.
Yes.
Who do we have on Saturday? Who do we have?
That's Vegas at Cincinnati and New England at Buffalo.
Okay.
The Vegas Cincinnati. That's okay. Who do you think's going to be the highest scoring game?
The highest scoring game overall, or just from those two?
Top game of all of them.
Of all of them. Well, Vegas will tell you that it's San Francisco and Dallas.
Yes, I don't
At 51 overall points.
Yeah, and second they have Arizona and the Rams.
Yeah, and third it's Vegas and
That's
Cincinnati.
the one I think is going to be the top one.
Yeah,
I think Vegas and Cincinnati.
I think it could be.
It could shoot out
if Vegas can score enough to keep it a shootout.
They've been scoring enough all year.
Yeah,
they've been a good team, man.
Yeah, I mean they did play in I think week 13 this year or something. Or
Cincinnati beat the brakes off of them.
Beat the brakes off of them, right? And you know you can make adjustments. Maybe there's injuries, you know, whatever. But that could be. I think that's the one on here that could be a blowout.
Usually that one could be the blowout. Cincinnati and Vegas could be the blowout.
Yeah, could be. I said could be.
Oh, well, Kansas City Pittsburgh's going to be an absolute.
Well, they are. They do have the biggest spread. Or
I don't agree with the 9. The 9 points for Tampa over Philly.
Oh, it must have changed. I had 8.5.
Yeah, it's not. I got 9 on PFF.
I think we talked about this last week, but one of the first things that you guys do, or at least that's what it sounds like, is you look at Vegas.
Yes.
And you look at sports betting.
Yeah, over under. If you look at the over under, they'll give you like the San Francisco Dallas is 51, and Dallas is favored by 3.5. So whack, do the math on the implied points.
Okay, implied points. So if you
he's a math whiz.
If you cut the overall in half, okay. So at 51, that would make
genius. He put our he
hooked up our VCR or something. Yeah.
He's a genius.
So you cut that number in half. Okay, so that makes it 25.5 for each, and then you cut the favorite number. So in Dallas is favored by 3.5. I have 3 here, but so we'll do 3 because it's easier, right? And then you add to the favorite team, so it goes from 25.5, and since they're favored by 3, you add 1.5 to that, so that makes it 27. And then you take the 1.5 away from that middle number on the underdog side, so that would be 24.
Gotcha.
So they're saying it's going to be about a 27-24 score. That's what they're predicting. So that means that Dallas is probably going to score. They're predicting 3 or 4 touchdowns, possibly, and San Francisco probably only 3.
And
or
you go
maybe
by
2
Vegas
and
because
4, field goals.
We go by Vegas because they don't lose. They build those big old buildings there. They build them because they got money because they don't lose. Yeah.
So you like a lot of what Vegas puts out.
Yeah, and you want to know the score. The whole point behind the goal behind a lineup building is to have the least amount of screw-ups that you could possibly make. You want to minimize your own screw-ups. So stack a game. Stacking is quarterback, and we usually do 2 of his receivers, and we bring one back from the other team. Because if it's a high-scoring game, they're both scoring. So you can take quarterback, 2 receivers, and 1 from the other team, bring that back. So you have, 4 players out of the 9 that you need. You already got 4 in one game. And then you can take another game, like say, I like the Vegas-Cincinnati. And then you take the second game, the 51 over-under for San Francisco-Dallas, and take Debo and CeeDee Lamb from those 2 and put them in your lineup. So that's 6 spots out of the 9 in 2 games. All you need is 2 games to go crazy.
Right, and defense.
Yeah, and throw a defense in there or whatever. Don't punt on it, but find a good defense. But you minimize your opportunity to screw everything up. If you pick Kyler Murray from one game and you take Devontae Smith from this one and Jamar Chase from this one and blah blah blah, and you need 6 games to go off to make your lineup go off. That's done. It's mathematically that's not very smart.
You're basically saying you narrow your focus.
Narrow it down. Minimize your chances of screwing everything up.
But I saw this somewhere, maybe on Twitter, where I like betting money lines, over unders more than I like the fantasies. I enjoy that sport betting a lot.
Yes.
And I saw this on Twitter somewhere where they said, all the times I would put in all these bets, it would be this here and that there, and it just kind of all over the place. They say the professional gamblers narrow their focus.
Yes.
And a lot of the times, I think last week we talked a little bit about bias and how our biases can affect our decisions.
Yeah, I said that because I do that all the time, yes.
You do that? Yeah,
yes.
you do that. But one of the things that professional gamblers do, my team's the Packers, my team's the Cardinals. They might, if they have a team per se, they might just bet that team, and they bet it both ways. We want to bet with our hearts, and not our heads sometimes. I want the Packers to win everything.
Yeah.
Right. But I know that team better than I know the Miami Dolphins. So I know that when we're playing a different team, that they might have a better chance.
Mm-hmm.
That's not fun to do as a fan.
Right.
Right. But if I'm actually looking at trying to make a profit, I try to narrow my focus down.
That's like being a specialist.
I know that team better. A specialist.
Right. Yeah. So instead of being
I'm the Devin Hester of betting Packers.
Right. Or you're a certain doctor that only specializes in this one, disease or something,
When I have conversations in life, I'm pretty sure you guys are the same way. We're talking about stuff. My mind often goes to business and finance because it's another hobby of mine. So we talk about narrowing your focus. I think a lot of times Warren Buffett, who's one of my idols and somebody I look up to a lot, he says we're too over diversified. We need to narrow our focus a little bit more.
Yeah.
If you're trying to see everything, you're not going to see anything. And another, popular saying is if you're trying to catch 2 rabbits, you're going to catch 0. Right? There's two rabbits loose in the backyard and you're trying to catch both of them, you're not going to catch any. But if you focus on one, you're going to focus on that. So that makes a lot of sense to me in a lot of different ways. And when I do bet the games and I do bet the money lines and the over and unders, or the money lines mostly, it's usually has something to do with my team one way or the other. I might be sitting there on the couch kind of rooting against my team. It's not fun as a fan, but sometimes it's better. It's better for me.
Going on that line of thinking, I was talking to the dude the other day, and he was asking me about daily fantasy, and he's like, "Who do you like this weekend?" I was telling him this. He goes, "I like Javonte Williams." It was a couple weeks ago. He goes, "I like Javonte Williams." I go, "Aren't you?" I said, "You're a Denver fan, right?" He goes, "Yeah." I go, explain to me why you think Javonte Williams is going to do good this weekend, and I'll tell you where you're making a mistake. And he's like, well, I mean, he's playing here, and he's good. I said, you like him because he's on your favorite team, man.
Yeah.
I said he's splitting carries with Melvin Gordon. He's a little bit hurt. The team he's playing is actually pretty good against running back. But I said you have zero reason to play him. I go, you got to stop with this. You got to let it go. With the bias, you got to let it go.
Yeah. And just the opposite. When you played them last week and they really hurt you, right?
Yes.
And then so the next week you're like, I'm not playing that guy ever again.
You can't do that.
That's going to make you lose.
And in fact, it's actually, once that happens, thank God it's in your favor because people are dumb and they're not going to play that guy because of that bias. That's your time to play him and kill it.
So you need a objective. Is that the word? I always get those.
An objective view on it. Yeah.
You need an objective perspective.
Well, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
and that's sense. Why, we talked about this last week too, but I love your idea of taking the names away. I think on one of these weeks, I know we don't have a lot left. I think we should just try that. You should maybe come up with a game.
Okay. Yeah.
A team.
And just see who we come up with.
Yeah. I'll come up with something. Yeah.
Come up with a team where we take what we're talking about is taking all the names away, not even knowing the names ourselves, and just looking at the numbers. Just looking at the analytical data that's available and that you guys think is purposeful and important, and just looking at the numbers. What we should do is compare and contrast this made-up team of just numbers and how you guys' actual teams do, the ones that you pick out. I think that'd be kind of cool and interesting to look at.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
When you talk about analytics and numbers and just timing and patience and narrowing your focus, one of our one of our passions is finance. And we're going to eventually talk about some finance, maybe on a different podcast or something similar like that. But narrowing that focus down, is that what you guys do? Do you focus on just a couple of games? Do you just focus on the top? I know this week's different, but maybe a general where there's a lot more games. Do you just focus on a couple different
I focus on
the top?
If there's a reason to not play somebody, I don't play him. If I go, yeah, but he is facing the top defense, done. He's out.
Yeah, I think
I have such a small player pool.
I think there's two different strategies. I mean, if you're playing a lot of lineups, you're trying to play every option, right? Every option that's legitimately possible, as much as you can.
That's in big tournaments,
right? Yeah, right. But you get the other way of thinking is I'm just going to create the best lineup I possibly can, or a few of them, and put those out there.
That's single entries, smaller, like 100 to 1,000 people. So there's different lineups to build with different tournaments,
or double ups, or 50
double up,
pickers.
or yeah, absolutely double head to heads. You just want to build the best lineup you can. But if you go to the tournaments, the Millie Maker and stuff, where there's 250,000 people in it, you want to, like, your quarterback, instead of the main Joe Burrow, it needs to be like Andy Dalton or something. Like, it has to be off the wall a little bit.
I know, I'm sure you have too, but there have been many times where I wanted to put maybe this player that's kind of a dart throw in, and I think, man, am I going to spend $20 on this? Am I wasting it? And almost every time I should have done it.
Yep.
So it's more of that but.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
If you have a statement, or if you have a thought in your mind and you say, but if there's ever a but, we're shying away from that. We're getting away from that.
Except for tournament, except for the big tournament, which I don't play the big tournament.
Which
but
you
yes,
have to
yes.
kind of but.
Yeah, you have to. That's the only way to win.
Right.
But yes, if I'm making the best lineup I possibly can, the best. If there's a but, I'm out.
Yep, and you want volume as much as possible. Like, I would pick a wide receiver getting 10 targets a game over somebody getting 6, even though the guy getting 6 might get better targets. Or
If
something.
the game before, this dude had 14 targets for 6 catches, 20 yards, and then the other dude had 6 targets, 6 catches, 150 yards. I'm taking the 14 for 6 and 20 yards every time.
So
you want targets. Yeah.
The big play breaks. We talked last week about touchdowns being fluky. You mentioned touchdowns being fluky. The big plays are going to happen for you and against you sometimes, right? But you would take receptions and catches and runs and touches more than 30 yards.
Yes. Yeah.
The 90s and the 80s are going to happen.
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah. When Deshaun Jackson's a terrible player.
There are some of those players that get big plays often.
Chase.
Chase. But many times when I see a guy, he got 17 points in that game, but he had a 60-yard touchdown. You can't expect that every week.
No.
Right?
No.
So I'm kind of devaluing that big week that he had because of that fluky play.
I think we talked about Devontae Adams a little bit last week. He's not going to have 90-yard touchdown breaks because he's double teamed.
Yeah.
Because he's triple teamed.
Yeah.
Because there is always somebody over the top of him. He's going to have the 15-yarder, the 20-something yarder. He might have an occasional 30-something yarder, whatever. He's not going to have that big breaky one. So when you say touchdowns are fluky, that makes a lot of sense to me. And why volume is important makes a lot of sense to me as well, because you just want them being the target. Right. You want them important in the playbook. And you want them having the opportunity.
Yes. The opportunity.
So touches are super important.
Right. Yep. And you can look at just red zone touches too, because there are certain players that some teams like to go to more often.
Josh Allen throws like crazy to his tight ends, and hell, all of them in the red zone. When he's close, he's targeting a tight end. It's crazy. But okay, so
a lot of times you'll have those. When teams practice and they go through that, the red zone. They have different packages, right? Where there is something specifically that they've seen on film that they want to try to take advantage of.
And we see that through the numbers. You'll see how many times they've targeted the tight end. And
you're like, why are they throwing this the third time they try to throw the tight end? They see something they're trying to hit. They just didn't hit it, or there was a counter action to it. And going through the numbers like we do, you'll see it's kind of cool to see how teams attack another team. Like you'll see, like say, I'm just making this up, but like the LA, Rams, Arizona, we're looking through that and you'll be like, good Lord, they just like teams against Arizona is just hitting their tight end. So okay, I guess they're weak there and everybody tries to attack them there. To me, that's the beauty of football. Yeah. To find it, that's what I've always said. Dude, there's so much more going on than people understand. Yes. It's chess. If you break it down, when you move, you're moving into their territory. They're trying to stop you. It's like capture the flag, man. Yeah. They're trying to stop you from being in their territory. And you're trying to find a weakness like the Death Star. It's amazing. I love football.
And I almost hate that my guys are scoring early in the game, because I think they're really setting that up for something else later. Maybe a different guy in the second half.
Belichick does that.
Or the defense will find a way to figure out how to stop that guy after, at halftime. Mm-hmm. And so when we talk counteraction, my mind immediately goes to not running Marshawn Lynch at the 3. Where were they on?
2? Yeah. 2? Oh god. They
saw something. You know,
They did, yeah.
And they saw something that they were wanting. Belichick, there was even maybe like a mini documentary or maybe even a clip of.
I've seen it. I know exactly what you're about to say. It's amazing.
Where they were talking about what Belichick did and the timeout. He saw something that forced them to take a timeout, and he knew that they were going to try to come out and counteract with that. And that's what happened. If you see the clip, that's what happened. They both admitted, both teams said this is what happened, and it was all in line with what actually happened. But the counteraction of that and the mind, not the mind games, but the gameship of football and the X's and O's, that turns me on. I got to tell you right now.
Here's what I thought was so cool about that play is that little documentary that you're talking about. Of course, you're going to run Marshawn Lynch into 2. He's going to get it. He don't not get it. He's a battering ram. So Pete Carroll saw something there, and he was like, I can exploit that. And but he didn't know that the whole week prior, Belichick, Pete Carroll's going to run Marshawn Lynch, obviously. No, but Bill Belichick knew it. He practiced that play. He said, when they get on the 2, this is what we got to make sure that that we're prepared for this.
He even baited it a little bit.
Yeah, and that's why he had. Malcolm Brown knew that was because Bill Belichick laid it out for him to know that in Bill Belichick's mind, he should have been thinking, well, if they're ever on the 2, they're just going to give it to Lynch, and we need to. Yeah. But no, he was like, no.
Right.
He's seeing when I look at my defense, I see this. I know he's seeing that too, and I'm going to practice it. Oh my God!
And many times you have to do something unexpected, right?
Yeah.
So I love this time of year. Playoff, NFL playoff. Like I said, Saturday games, I give it to me. Force feed it to me.
Nothing better than a playoff game.
Yeah, nothing better. Man. In or out. You know, this time of the year, it's really enjoyable. Give it to me. Love those playoff games that are meaningful. You see the best of the best, and here we go.
And one little point about that could be Ben Roethlisberger's last game ever. Right?
He's gonna get.
He could
maybe
nothing to play for except a win.
Yeah.
He's got those knucklehead receivers and celebrating first downs. That's crazy. Maybe we'll save that for another time. But so from here on out, we're going to be weekly and through the Super Bowl, and then I think maybe every other week we'll just talk about what you guys' off season looks like. Getting prepared. You know, you might not want to, after the Super Bowl, I think people take a break for a little bit from football.
Not us, dude. We're dynasty guys.
Yeah, you got to stay in it, right? You got to stay on top of it. So we're definitely, and we're pretty excited about the other things that we can go into during the off season, where we're not trying to cram for the tests weekly, right? We can kind of settle our thoughts a little bit and really kind of look at the numbers, really start looking at the trends and the patterns that you guys are seeing. So I'm super excited to looking forward to the off season and what that might look like. So we'll probably go to once every couple weeks on that and really focus on what the off season does look like for you guys and what the immediate future is going to look like.
Sounds good. I might school people in a little bit of DFS baseball. I do baseball.
Yeah. We're looking to expand. We're sports fans. We like all of them except tennis and. Or you guys, I think probably maybe you like tennis, but
remember the time Monica Seles got stabbed on the court? That was kind of exciting.
Talking about the ice skating thing?
No, Monica Seles got stabbed on the court. Yeah. Oh yeah, didn't she?
Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, we're gonna expand this thing. We started here though because this is our first love, football. So yeah, we're gonna hit it hard through Super Bowl. Hopefully, you guys are tuning in and stay with us through the duration of the rest of the playoffs, the Super Bowl, and the off season and beyond. So we appreciate you tuning in, and we'll check you next time, fellas.
Thank you. See you next week.
See you.
All right.
This video is brought to you by the Wellness Investors. The Wellness Investors are a collective of individuals with uniquely diverse backgrounds. Our goal is to inspire, motivate, and entertain. Visit thewellnessinvestors.com and start enhancing your life, one sector at a time.